Good morning. This is the Committee of Adjustment meeting for January 21st, 2025. On December 16th, 2024 and January 20th, 2025, the City of Kitchener City Council appointed individuals as members of the Committee of Adjustment for a 2-year term. Members are being requested to enact the following resolution to authorize an in-camera meeting. And following their education and training session, the committee will reconvene the public meeting at 10 a.m., the statutory advised time, to consider the minor variance and consent applications listed on the agenda. Members are being requested to pass the following resolution: that an in-camera meeting be held immediately prior to the public meeting of the Committee of Adjustment this date for members of the Committee of Adjustment to receive education and training as authorized by Sections 239, 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001. Can I please get a member of the committee to move that motion? It's moved by Member McCall, and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Gambetti. And can I get a vote for that? All those in favor? And that motion is moved. This meeting will return the live stream at 10 a.m. for the public consideration of applications on the agenda. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting for January 21st, 2025. We have some administrative business to go through prior to the applications being considered, as there have been new members of the committee appointed by the City Council. So I'm going to ask members to bring forward nominations for the position of the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I would like to bring forward a motion that Mr. Santos be our chair. Does Mr. Santos agree?
Thank you, Member McCall. I'll accept that nomination. Thank you.
Good.
All right, awesome. So we're going to vote on that nomination then. All those in favor of Brian Santos being appointed as the chair for the Committee of Adjustment by a show of hands? All right, and that motion carries. I'm also requesting members to bring forward a motion or nominations for the position of vice chair.
Madam Secretary, I'd like to nominate Member McCall as vice chair for this committee.
And Member McCall, do you accept that nomination? You could just confirm in the mic for us.
Yep.
Awesome. So we're going to vote on that nomination then. All those in favor of Bob McCall being the vice chair of the Committee of Adjustment? All right, that motion carries. Awesome. So we're just going to ask our chair to move to the chairperson seat, and we'll begin the meeting with the consideration of the applications.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we dealt with those administrative matters with this committee. A few new members here starting the year, so thank you for hanging tight there. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being called to hear applications under the Planning Act or minor variance and or consent. This is a statutory public meeting. Anyone having interest in any of these applications may make oral or written submission for the committee's consideration. The committee will render a verbal decision this date, and the agent applicant will receive a copy of the committee's decision in writing via email 10 days after this meeting. So the planning coordinator will introduce the application and staff recommendation outlined in the report, which was also posted on the City of Kitchener website the Friday prior to the meeting. The chair will advise the committee of late written submissions circulated prior to the meeting that should be taken into consideration. And we did receive one yesterday, I know for sure, through email, and I don't see any as it arrived this morning. The chair will confirm the applicant agent if they have reviewed the staff report and whether they are in support of the staff recommendation. The chair will invite parties in opposition to make an oral submission, and parties providing oral submission should endeavor to keep their comments succinct and avoid repeating comments already stated by other parties or in letters that were submitted. The committee members may ask questions of the parties in opposition, if any. The chair will invite the agent applicant to make comments, if any, and the agent applicant can ask questions regarding the staff recommendation. And then the committee members can ask questions of the agent or the applicant. The committee members may ask questions of city staff. And then the committee then will pass a motion to approve, reject, or defer the application. I now request if there's any members have any pecuniary interest or conflict of interest regarding the application listed on the agenda today. Are there any conflicts of interest anyone need to declare? Seeing none, so we can proceed to new business. So the first that we have on the agenda is A to 2025-001, 535 Manitou Drive. So if I can invite the planning coordinator to introduce the application and the staff recommendation, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 535 Manitou Drive. There are two variances before you this morning. The first variance is to permit a maximum parking requirement of 110 parking spaces instead of the maximum permitted 82 parking spaces. And the applicant is requesting relief to permit an exterior side yard setback of 3.7 meters instead of the minimum required 6 meters. Now, these variances are to facilitate the development of the site with an industrial plaza in accordance with a conditionally approved site plan. I would note that the notice that was given of the application stated that the applicant was going to provide 82 parking spaces rather than the minimum required 110. So it was the opposite of what the variance is actually requesting for you this morning. As I stated, the applicant wants to provide 110 parking spaces, so more than the maximum permitted of 82. So even though the notice was incorrect in advertising the variance, staff still feels that appropriate notice was given that there is a parking variance before you this morning, and the variance does meet all four tests of the Planning Act, so staff is recommending approval of both the parking variance and the exterior side yard.
Thank you for that. If I can confirm with the applicant agent if they review the staff report and whether they're in support of the recommendation. If I can also ask you to introduce yourself, please, for the committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Scott Patterson from Patterson Planning Consultants. I have reviewed the staff report and here in full support this morning.
Excellent, thank you. I'd now like to invite any parties in opposition to make oral submissions. Seeing none, I'd like to ask the members of the committee if they have any questions for the agent. No questions? Any questions to staff? Yes, Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is fairly straightforward. It puts a smile on my face because this is the exact opposite of what we're normally asked to do. I think it's a great application, and I'm sure the 110 parking spaces will be exactly what you need. So, Mr. Chair, I move that this be approved as per the staff report.
Thank you. I've got Mr. McCall that has moved the motion. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'll call for discussion. Is there any discussion on this matter? Yes, Marco?
Yeah, just a small comment. From the drawings, it looks like you have some bike racks. Thank you. Just a small comment for bikes. Some of the really useful bikes that are starting to pop up everywhere now. The e-bikes are getting a little bit bigger. So I've noticed, at least with my bike, that conventional bike racks don't always fit my bike. Sometimes the independent bike loops, the metal loops, are a little bit easier to lock. Some of the bigger bikes do. But other than that, it seems like a pretty straightforward application. Thank you.
If I'm seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. The motion is in favor of the staff recommendation. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along, next on the agenda, we have A to 2025-002, 72 Strange Street. If I can invite the planning coordinator to introduce the application as well as the staff recommendation, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 72 Strange Street. One variance before you this morning to permit an interior side yard setback of 0.6 meters instead of the minimum required 1.2 meters. And this variance is to facilitate the construction of a two-story addition at the rear of the existing detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the four tests of the Planning Act and is recommending approval.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to invite the applicant to step to the microphone, please, introduce themselves, and let us know if they are in support of the staff recommendation.
Hi there. My name is Ben Locke. I'm the homeowner at 72 Strange. We applied for this variance to provide more space for our children at the back of the home, as well as more living space. We've been in the home for 10 years, and we hope to stay. We like the neighborhood, and so that's the main reason that we've applied for it.
Well, thank you so much. Are you in support of the staff recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, thank you. I'd like to call now for any parties that are in opposition to make any oral submissions. Seeing none. Agent applicant, you have any time to make comments, or you've already done so? Members of the committee, do you have any questions of the homeowner? Seeing none. Members, you have the opportunity to ask questions of staff. Member McCall?
Not really a question for staff, Mr. Chair, but I think it should be noted that there was a written application that we received via email, and that person who submitted that, I don't know whether they're here today, but I would like to reassure them that the committee has received that, and as per our responsibilities, have reviewed it, and thank you for your comment, and that's what I wanted to say, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Member McCall. That's well put. Like, we get these application packages, and they're quite extensive, and anytime we do receive these emails, they are read and considered, but thank you for mentioning that in case they're watching online or later. Thank you for that. So if there's no further discussion, I'm looking for a motion so we can bring this to vote. I see a motion there from Member Mello, and need a seconder. Member McCall, you first to the race there, so we have a first and a second.
Through Chair, I just wanted to confirm what exactly the motion was for. Is it to approve or to refuse the application?
Great
so if the mover
question.
can please clarify that. That would be
Great question. Member Mello, my apologies. Can you let us know what your motion is, if it's to support the staff recommendation, or
Yes.
what is it?
I can confirm this is a motion to approve.
And Member McCall, that you second that, correct? Thank you. Thank you so much. Any discussion? Marco?
Yeah, I'll just respond to something that was in the written message that we got. The addition is close to the lot line, but the existing house is closer. So in terms of proximity to, or side yard setback, it's not, to me, it doesn't seem like a huge deal. Seems pretty straightforward. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. It's just old neighborhood, funny lot, but looks like a nice project. It's a good application. Thank you so much for it. If there's no further discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion to support the staff recommendation? Passed and carried, unanimous. Thank you so much. Moving along on our agenda, A 2025-003, 126 Highland Road West. If I can invite the planning coordinator to introduce the application, as well as the staff recommendation, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is an application for permission under Section 45(2) of the Planning Act for 126 Highland Road West. This is an application to permit the enlargement of a legal non-conforming use, a single detached dwelling, to permit an additional dwelling unit attached within the existing building. Staff have reviewed this application for permission in light of the two tests, finds that it meets both of those, and is recommending approval subject to two conditions, and that is that the existing driveway be altered to conform to the zoning bylaw, and that this driveway work be done by June 1st, 2025. Staff, in light of this condition, have reviewed, as I said, those two tests and is recommending approval.
Thank you. If the applicant or agent can introduce themselves and let us know if they are in support of the staff recommendation.
Hi there, my name is Rob Zakunovic. I'm here on behalf of the owner. We have reviewed those conditions and we are in agreement.
Thank you for that. Inviting any parties in opposition to make any oral submissions. Seeing no one. Members of the committee, do you have any questions at all for the agent? Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a very quick one to the applicant. I've noticed in here the deadline or the date, June 1st. Is that going to give you enough time?
Yeah, that will be sufficient time to change it. We're just going to modify it by changing the color. We spoke with, I believe it was Evan, and he said that by changing the color of it, it would be sufficient for their requirements. So.
Okay, I just a little worried, got up this morning, and it was like living in the Arctic Circle and thinking, when are you going to be able to get this done by June 1st? Hopefully we'll have warmer weather by June 1st. So thank you for your response. That's it for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions from members to the agent? Seeing no others, any questions for city staff regarding this application? Seeing no other questions or comments, so I'll look for a motion, please. Member Marco made the motion. That is, I'm learning.
I will move the staff recommendation, which is to approve.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Member Mello. I'll now open the floor to debate. If seeing no debate, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, which is to support the staff recommendation. I'm just calling the vote. All those in favor? All right. It's passed. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we're rolling right along. I don't want to jinx myself, but it's going well so far. famous last words. Uh-oh. Yeah, we move to A 2025-004, 240 Chapel Street. If I can invite the city staff and the planning coordinator to introduce the application as well as the recommendation, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 240 Chapel Street. There are two minor variances before you this morning. The first variance is to permit an east side yard setback of 0.4 meters instead of the minimum required 1.2 meters. I should say that both of these variances are to allow an additional dwelling unit attached to be constructed in the basement of the existing dwelling. So with respect to the first variance, staff have reviewed this variance in light of the four tests, finds that it meets all of those, and is recommending approval subject to a condition. Similar to the previous condition, shall modify the existing driveway such that it will comply with zoning bylaw requirements. This work to be done by May 31st. As in the previous application, there is a clause that should the applicant require more time, they can request that extension in writing to the manager of development approvals. Staff are recommending approval of that variance subject to the condition. The second variance that's before you this morning is to permit an unobstructed walkway with a minimum width of 0.92 meters instead of the minimum 1.1. Staff have reviewed this variance in light of the four tests and is recommending refusal of this variance.
Thank you, sir, for that, city staff. I now invite the applicant or agent to introduce themselves and see if they reviewed the report and whether they're in support of the recommendation.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Saban Mathna from QBS Architects. I am the applicant representing the owner. We did review the staff reports. We agree with the recommendation on the first one for the driveway. However, we disagree and we would like your support for the variance number 2. The fact that it is existing and the reduction is extremely minimal. It happens to the existing chimney breast, which is about 0.51 meters, which is 20 inches, and the reduction is 0.25, and there is a gas meter. We are happy to propose that the committee members could impose a condition that if the neighbor decides to put a fence, then the client will incur the extreme financial expense of removing that chimney and relocating the meter, because like right now there is 0.92 minimum where the meter is, and there is about 1.03 meter where the chimney breast is. So we are seeking your help. Just to note, there is an existing ADU that is detached in the same unit, and we are proposing an attached one in the basement.
Thank you for that. I'd like now to invite parties that are in opposition to make any oral submissions. Seeing none. Members have the opportunity to ask questions of the opposition, but there are none. Members, do you have any questions of the agent for this matter? Member McCall?
Yes, Mr. Chair, more of a procedural question. In the past, where we've had these two options where one is approved and the other is to refuse, I'm wondering if we should split these into two. A motion for item number one and a motion for item number two. And maybe we pass that through you, Mr. Chair, to our Madam Secretary.
Madam Secretary, can you help me with this one?
Yeah, so it's at, hello, can you hear me? Okay, it's at the discretion of the committee, but that would be a great recommendation to vote on it separately, just in case there's a differing opinion for the refusal. So I would suggest putting two separate motions on the floor based on the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you for that. If I can just maybe stick in on this a little bit, perhaps we can just ask the questions of the applicant right now, and then a city staff. And when the time comes to make a motion, we can separate them, if that is agreeable to my committee members. Just to make things a little bit, we have the opportunity now to ask questions. I think we can ask them, and then if we want to separate them, which I think probably makes sense, I think that's a great suggestion. But for now, we'll look to ask questions, and as it stands, it's just questions to the agent. Marco?
I don't quite have a question for the agent or staff. I do have some, just a couple of things I want to highlight regarding the walkway. Should I save those for discussion?
If you have questions, I think you should talk about them now. I think discussion is just more for debate. But if there's questions, I think you should ask them at this point.
They're not really questions.
No.
But I'll save them for debate. I think it's okay.
Okay. No questions for the agent or the applicant?
Just a few questions for the agent, just factually making sure I'm understanding correctly. So it's both the gas meter and the chimney that is, both have to go essentially to bring it into compliance. And then I'm wondering if you could speak to, there was mention of a previous application. I wonder if you could speak to sort of the timeline of that process and prior plans and how we got here essentially.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good, thank you. So there was an application in 2020 for the detached ADU that has passed because there is an existing, like exactly the same variances we've been. But unfortunately, during that application, the meter and the chimney were not highlighted. So were not basically captured in that hearing. And this is why in this application, when we submitted for the basement, converting the basement into another ADU, this was captured by staff.
Is it very difficult to remove that chimney? Is it currently in use?
It is like there are the vent pipes there and there is the meter is there. It's an existing house, 1950s. And the chimney, as I mentioned, the reduction, the chimney is only 0.5 meter, which is 20 inches, and the meter is about 0.61. So the entire thing is about 2 feet. That's the reduction.
And you also mentioned the cost of moving a gas meter. Do you have a ballpark of how much that would be?
Unfortunately, I don't, but I could speak with the client. But because it's a brick chimney and the gas meter.
And another question for me, sorry, I don't mean to hog the floor here. If anyone has it, just let me know. But so that ADU in the back it's a bit difficult to see just from the pictures. The ADU is currently rented out, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And using that walkway.
It's shown in the staff report. The staff did show pictures, so I don't know if staff member would be able to put this on the screen.
It's in our package, I can see.
Yes.
It's just a little bit unclear though, too. I tried to look on Google Maps to see what's there. It's just that issue that's in question with the chimney and gas meter is just a little bit tricky. So I was just curious on that note. But if there's no questions of the agent applicant, I now, Member McCall? Okay. Any questions of city staff from my fellow members? Go ahead.
Just one more question for the agent, so just trying to make sense of the timeline. So was it, of that earlier application, 2020, were the plans deficient, or was it just not, it was there, it was marked, it didn't raise the attention of
Yeah,
planning?
so the reason why it was not brought up to the attention is the client provided us with like an older original survey from the lot.
Okay.
And that survey did not show the chimney.
Okay.
And like it was not captured. And the survey is actually part of this package as well. We use the exact same survey. He did not have an up-to-date survey, the older survey that he got with the property, and this is what we used, and that did not show the chimney, and it was COVID time, so
Sure.
that's what happened.
Thank you. If I've seen no more questions to the agent, any questions for city staff from my fellow members? Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And maybe more of a comment than a question. It's unfortunate that we did not catch this issue during the first application, but as I think back, it was mentioned and there was issues of the width of the walkway and accessibility for emergency services. Now, I could be confusing this application with a different application, but there's also the issue of an encroachment of 0.06 meters into the abutting property. And I know that the encroachment is not included in this minor variance and instead a civil issue between the property owners, but that's I guess I look at that as kind of skating on thin ice. As I said, it's unfortunate that we didn't catch this the first time around. I'm asking this committee for their feedback, because I'm sitting on the fence on this one. On either of the, if we split this in two, I'm concerned on both of them. It's an awkward one, but we've already, not that we set precedents on our decisions, but essentially that's what we've done. We've already approved this walkway for the ADU in the backyard, and where would the, so I guess maybe I'm garbling my questions here. To the applicant, where is the entrance? It should be shown on the site plan.
Yes, sir, it's on the left-hand side of the property. Because the right-hand side of the property, if you are facing it, there's the existing garage, which is built already very close to the property line, which is the easterly variance, variance number 1. And the access to the both ADUs would be on your left-hand side.
So to get through to the converted basement, you're going to have to get past that chimney and gas meter.
Correct. Both ADU tenants are using the same walkway.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to sit on the fence for a minute on this one while I make up my mind. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to hear some input from my fellow committee members on what their thoughts are on this. And this is kind of going to a discussion we had in the back room an hour ago.
Well,
So-
it's funny you mentioned sitting on the fence, and they're proposing a fence. So choice of words is that. But like,
my jokes.
I do appreciate the suggestion of trying to separate these two things. I have a question for city staff. Can you have one without the other? And what happens if one is approved regarding the driveway and then the second is refused? What happens then?
Yes, those are good questions. So I'll just go back to the variance that was approved. It was actually approved in July 19th of 2022, so just almost 3 years ago now. And there was only one variance before the committee back into 2022, and that was for the side yard. So it was to permit the detached ADU in the rear yard with a side yard of 0.4 meters on that one side of the dwelling. On that drawing with that minor variance, there was a 1.1 meter walkway shown in the location that it is now. So there was no indication at that time that a variance was required for the walkway. It was shown at the required 1.1 meters. So the committee was just considering the side yard variance at that time. The applicant has come back and is requesting to put an attached additional dwelling unit in the basement, which staff reviewed the drawing in more detail, ensuring that that 1.1 meter walkway was constructed. And it was during that site investigation that we determined that it did not meet the minimum width. And so that's why this variance was included with this application. So it wasn't identified originally, it is now. The issue is it doesn't have the minimum width because of the chimney and the utility meter and the encroachment. Staff have difficulty with the walkway. It's required for emergency services, fire services, and that's one of the reasons for the 1.1 meter width. And it is challenging when there are utility meters and chimneys and encroachments that shorten that width, and you need to get a stretcher into the rear yard. So there would have to be some other arrangements made to provide access to that ADU in the rear yard if the variance is refused.
Thank you for that. That really helped. So any more questions from my fellow members? Member McCall?
Just through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, you're saying that there would have to be some other workaround for this 1.1 meter walkway, which we don't have, and I agree with the applicant to try and remove a chimney is going to be very problematic. But it's already been approved, indirectly approved in the previous application. What other options are there? An easement on the neighbor's property to the left?
As noted in the staff report, that is an option. That would be a challenging option, obtaining an easement from your neighboring property. There would be a cost involved, just as there's a cost involved with the utility relocation and chimney deconstruct. So I'm not sure that's an ideal option either. I'm not sure there's one ideal option in any of the three that are before you this morning. So it is a challenging situation. I don't know if there's another way to achieve the walkway through the driveway and through the garage to the back that we could look at that. But again, the garage is closed to emergency fire access, right? So again, it's challenging to get that service into the rear yard if there'd be an emergency happening with that ADU.
So I'll follow up with that just because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So if number 2 is refused, what happens then to the ADU in the back that's currently rented out? Does the applicant have to address that walkway either way?
That is correct. It would have to be zoning compliant.
Member Marco?
Yeah, my understanding is they would either have to make changes to the property to either have a different access point or remove the chimney and gas meter if it gets refused. And until either we approve the existing walkway or changes are made, that ADU in the rear yard would not be zoning compliant, which would be unfortunate in my eyes, but it is sticky.
Yes?
Sorry, one more question for, I don't know if the agent or staff would be appropriate, and you may not know the answer, but I'm just wondering, of the encroachment issue with the adjacent owner, do we know like the status of the civil issue? Like, is it discussions, is there a claim, or is it just kind of factually a civil issue between the parties?
My understanding,
Okay,
ADU has been rented for about 2-3 years now.
okay, so it's not a live issue by any means with the adjacent owner?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so if I'm not seeing any further questions to staff or to the agent, not to guide things along, but maybe we can separate these as Member McCall had suggested. I think the first one might be the most straightforward, so look for a motion on that. We can vote, and then we can get to that second issue, which is the walkway. So, Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will bring forward a motion that we have these two split into two sections, that we deal with the first one. And I move that the proposal, or condition number 1, be approved, leaving condition second application to be dealt with afterwards.
Madam Secretary, just point of order, can we do those one motion as a package like that? That to separate them and then to vote to approve the first item, or we have to do two separate motions?
So with the motion that's currently on the floor, if you could receive a seconder and then vote on that one, and then deal with the second one afterwards.
So we're okay,
Yeah.
so we're okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So looking for a seconder on that, Member Marco. So any further discussion or opening this up to debate now on item 1, which is related to the driveway?
I think I've made a motion, or I will make a motion, that we, to address condition number 1, that we approve that.
So you made the motion, it was seconded. I was just opening up to debate. If I'm seeing no debate, I will call for the vote. So, and the vote is to approve the staff recommendation on item number 1 only. So I can call the vote for that. All those in favor? So that's passed. Okay, so now we'll need then a second or a motion for item number 2. So I'll look to my members to make a motion. Member Marco, can you make that motion, please, and let us know what it is?
I will make a motion for our second item, and to avoid double negatives, I will make this motion to approve the walkway.
Looking for a seconder, and you don't have to vote in favor afterwards. You just need to have the motions. We don't put up to debate, so you don't have to agree with Member Marco. You just need a seconder as we can debate this. Member Mello. So the motion is to approve the walkway. So I'll now open up to debate. Member Marco.
This feels really unfortunate because on paper, a 20 centimeter pinch point doesn't seem like a big deal, but it sounded like the concerns were from emergency services. I don't really want to step on their toes. And if a fence is built, I don't know how likely a fence being put there would be, since there's a driveway, and then parking between the house and the fence would be maybe a bit tight. So I don't know that it's necessarily likely that a fence would be there, but if a fence does get put there, emergency services would probably have, they're saying that they could have some problems getting into the back. And I don't want to step on their toes. At the same time, removing the chimney and moving the meter are pretty expensive. And the rear ADU is already there. So I'm a little bit stuck on this one, and I'm looking forward to comments from fellow members.
Yeah, just a comment on the condition to, if a fence is built, that, address it then. just practically, in my mind, that seems like an administrative nightmare and virtually impossible to police until there's a moment where emergency services need to come through and they're like, oh, we probably should have done something about this. So I really appreciate the thought behind it, and on paper, it seems like a great idea. We'll address it when it becomes an actual issue on the ground, but practically, that just seems, I can't see that going smoothly and working effectively as a condition.
Yeah, I'll just maybe jump the gun here, though, too. I'll echo those thoughts, just kind of like proceed accordingly and hope to build a fence afterwards. It's a bit of a problem for me, though, too. And on paper, this seems like a very minor situation here, but this is one where maybe two wrongs don't necessarily make it right, and it is a big challenge that way. And I know we're looking for more units here, but trying to squeeze this in, and I think my big issue here is the encroachment with the neighbor and how tight that walkway already is, just looking at that photo, and then going by the property, there's just not much room there. So I do have a tough time with that. Like, it is really, really, really tight. And if it weren't for the encroachment, I'd just maybe think a little bit differently, but there's almost no space there. Any further comments or debate from my members? This is a big one here, and it's complicated.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Having had a hobby of doing construction work throughout my few years on this planet, it won't be that difficult to move the meter. It's going to be impossible to do anything with that chimney. Well, no, I shouldn't say impossible. We've put men on the moon, and soon to maybe women on the moon as well. So there is something that could be done, but the cost is astronomical to do that. So I echo Member Gambetti's concerns. I echo your concerns. I hear all this. The problem is, if we turn this down, what happens to that existing ADU out the back? Does that have to be vacated and torn down? Maybe that's a question for staff.
That staff would not require the ADU to be vacated and torn down. Again, we try and find a way to make this work with the applicant. So I don't know what that solution is right now, but if you do turn it down, we'll have to find a way to make that work. And whether there's, the walkway, as I said, maybe there's something we can do to the existing garage. That's another alternative to be explored. But you're making some very good comments, and it's a very thoughtful consideration of the variance. And I said staff has struggled with the variance as well in terms of the 4 tests and recognizing that ADU is there. And it's just unfortunate those items weren't identified when the initial application was made.
Marco?
I'm trying to look for it now, but I believe I read somewhere in the report that the chimney encroaches less on the walkway than the meter does. And I think it's a difference of like almost 10 centimeters, where the chimney is, I think, less than 10 centimeters into the 1.1, and then the meter is almost 20 centimeters into the 1.1. So instead of 1.1, it's 0.9. I'd be more comfortable with a meter, so it'd be 1.0 instead of 1.1. The 10 centimeter reduction feels more comfortable, so maybe it could be maybe possible that they don't have to remove the chimney, but they do move the meter. That might be an option. Yeah, those are my thoughts for now.
Are you making a suggestion or trying to amend the motion, or just, if we have no further comments, we're going to have to call for a vote soon on this?
Yeah,
I appreciate what you're trying to say, that one's not as bad as the other, and like what the cost is to move. Like, I don't think moving a gas meter is like terribly onerous if the unit downstairs is not constructed, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is an existing basement. The client is just converting it into ADU. So the house is built in the 1950s.
And that chimney, does it serve as just the furnace? Is it a fireplace? What's it?
No, it's for venting, it's not a fireplace, it's for venting from the basement for the mechanical.
For the what, sorry?
For the,
For mechanical.
For mechanical?
Furnace.
But most furnaces now just vent straight out though, too. It's just not removing that base. Any more comments or debate? Member McCall?
In an effort to get this moving along a little bit anyway, I echo Member Gambetti's comments about the chimney is less of an intrusion into the walkway than the gas meter. And we've already approved this indirectly. I would be happy with movement on the meter and an acceptance of the chimney as it is, if mechanically feasible. It's easier to dodge around a chimney than it is to try and dodge around a gas meter. So I'd like to see this application go forward, and I know the applicant would like to see it go forward too. But we have a great problem here, as we've talked about this more than many other applications. Maybe through you, Mr. Chair, a question to Madam Secretary. What is the motion on the floor? Is that this Part 2 be refused? It be approved, which is a refusal.
It's incorrect. I'll step in here, though, too. The motion on the floor is to approve the walkway, so it goes against the staff recommendation.
Gotcha.
So it's to approve it. But before you go, I think city staff might have a bit more information to give us, if that might help you then, Member McCall.
Yes, thank
Tina?
you, Chair. Yeah. So staff has just reached out to me through message here, and just to confirm that the staff member who did the report indicates that the chimney sticks out 10 inches and the utility meter, gas meter, sticks out 13 inches. So the gas meter is more problematic than the chimney. You could put a motion on the floor, amended motion to approve, subject to the relocation of the utility meter.
Thank you so much for that. That really does help. That clarifies a lot of things there. Thank you. Member McCall?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to take my hat off to staff. That's a great compromise, and I would like to put an amendment. The motion is to approve as per the staff report. Well, no, not to approve.
I'm sorry, just as far as point of order there, Member McCall, the motion we have is to approve the walkway.
The walkway, not as per the staff report. So I'm going to suggest that the amendment to that it be approved with the condition that the gas meter be modified or moved to allow the same distance that the chimney would occupy. That way it's a straight walk through.
Madam Secretary, can you help me here?
And through the chair, I would just recommend that that amendment be voted on prior to voting on the entire motion as amended.
Okay. But is that amendment possible, as far as point of order? We're okay with that?
You're fine with that?
So the amended motion is to move the gas meter off that side of the house, or just so it's no further than the chimney?
Yes, Mr. Chair, no further out from the building than the chimney, because the chimney's going to be there anyway, unless the applicant wants to spend $100,000 to have it carefully removed and the cosmetics of the remaining building be there, and then redirect the exhaust system from the down basement mechanicals. That's going to be a problem. So I like the idea of that we approve the walkway with either moving or modifying the gas meter so it's no further into the walkway than the chimney.
Okay. Everyone clear on that? Is there a seconder for that amended motion?
I just have a quick comment.
Do you want to just make, are you going to second
I
that? or-
want to talk about the amendment quickly. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
I'm just wondering, because if emergency services are there and if they hit the chimney will be fine, it's brick. The gas meter, if they hit it, that could be a problem. So I'm wondering if, because on paper, the being no further out than the chimney makes sense.
Ideally, I love this for debate, but like we're kind of like jumped around a little bit, so we'll keep going. We'll go here first, and then to Member McCall, I had you second.
Yeah, sorry if I could just add to Member Marco's comments. I echo those concerns, just like thinking of navigating, I don't know, a bed around a corner. When you have sort of more miscellaneous, oddly shaped objects, I imagine that would be more difficult. Bag handles, those sorts of things. So I guess my initial reaction, I like the idea of the amendment, but I like more the gas meter not being on that side of that building. And I don't know, practically, like I'm not a gas fitter in any capacity, so I don't know whether that's feasible or not.
Member McCall?
This is going on forever and ever.
The tough thing about this is we should have like a seconder for this, or it should be done. If there's,
Well, I made the motion, so I can't second it. From my observations throughout the city, gas meters, especially in an area where it's close to access points, are protected by pipes in the ground. So let me amend my motion that the gas meter either be modified or moved somewhere else so it's out of the way. I don't know how feasible that is. You can pretty well run gas pipes just about anywhere you need. But if that's gas into a basement furnace, which is pumped into the fire or into the chimney, problematic. So I'm going to say that it either be modified so it's no longer, it does not protrude further than the chimney, or it be moved to another location.
so you're modifying your initial motion of not being further than the chimney or to a different side of the house, correct?
Yep.
Before calling for a second, I think got some more wisdom from city staff, so thank you. Need
Yes,
some help here.
we have staff working behind the scenes to try and assist in getting this approved. So what we are suggesting is that the variance be amended from .92 to .99. That way, the chimney is the maximum encroachment, so it's at .99, and then nothing could extend past that chimney. So my suggestion is the motion be amended, or the variance be amended from .92 to .99. That is to the chimney. So we'd have a sufficient size walkway. The variance is only 0.1 of a meter. That way, they would have to deal with the utility meter in achieving that .99 setback.
I do appreciate that. It really helps us out here, though, too, because it's a complicated one. It's not much, but it is just a strange one. So I know you made a motion, Member McCall. Do you want to adjust?
Through the chair, if I can just offer some assistance here. I am
Please.
hearing three separate motions right now. So I think the first thing is to vote on the amendment that was brought forward, the amendment for a condition. That's what I understood it as, right? Which Member McCall brought forward. So I would first recommend voting on that, receive a seconder.
If we have a seconder.
If you
we
have a
can-
seconder, and then vote on that. And then you move on to the amendment to the variance that staff just brought forward. You receive a seconder, you vote on that, and then you vote finally on the entire motion. I hope
If we have
that's
no
making sense.
seconder on the initial motion, there's nothing to vote on, though, correct?
The amendment that Member McCall, exactly. So I think first go through that process and then move on to the,
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
All
that
right.
clarity. So Member McCall made a first motion. Is there a seconder for that? For the amendment?
The amendment to have the gas meter modified so it doesn't encroach, or moved so it doesn't encroach into the walkway more than the chimney. I will second that.
Second that? So that's what I was looking for to do.
And to confirm, is that as a condition to the original motion for an approval? Just confirming that's what Member McCall was recommending?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we've already approved condition number 1, or application number 1, so we're just dealing with the second.
Variance.
The variance. And my motion was to, as described by my colleague to my left here, but I like what staff has come up with better. It's much more targeted, much more specific. So I would consider that a friendly amendment to my motion that we just change the wording of the application here to change the 0.92 meters to 0.99 meters, and that it be approved. Can I make that amendment to my motion?
I'm happy with it as long as then the seconder also approves
Oh,
that.
yeah, I'd have to get the seconder.
Yes, I agree with this as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Appreciate the help. Totally shot myself in the foot before I said smooth sailing.
She warned us about this kind of stuff earlier this morning. So, Mr. Chair, I'll just do a quick recap. Part 1 has been approved. Part 2 has been modified from 0.92 meters to 0.99 meters, and the wording is that it be approved, and that has been seconded by my colleague to my left. Is that a correct assumption, Mr. Chair and Madam Secretary?
I'm happy with that and appreciate the clarification on that matter.
Okay, good.
I'll call for debate. Any further debate on this? I'll now call for the vote. So all those in favor, and this would approve as amended from 0.92 to 0.99. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Wow. We worked through that one, but I think it now makes sense. Thank you. And big kudos to city staff there for really helping us through that. Like, it was a complicated one. So thank you for kind of playing some jazz music there and figuring things out on the fly that I think makes a lot of sense now in the end. So I think that worked out. So thank you, city staff. That was really well done. So moving along, last item on our agenda, because I don't see any new business. We have 2025-001, 284 Duke Street East. If I can invite the planning coordinator to introduce the application and the staff recommendation, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is the consent application for 284 Duke Street East. This is consent to sever a parcel of land having an area of 155.2 square meters and is intent to convey as a lot addition to the abutting property at 44 Betzner Avenue North. Staff have reviewed the consent application in light of provincial, regional, and city policies, finds that it meets all of those, and is recommending approval subject to a number of conditions.
Thanks a bunch for that. If I can have the applicant or agent to introduce themselves, please, and let us know if they are in support of this staff recommendation, please.
Hi there, my name is Scott Bolton. I live at 44 Betzner Avenue North, and then my family owns 284 Duke Street East. It's our rental duplex. I don't know if this is the forum, sorry, I'm a homeowner, I've never done this before. I just had a couple questions to understand the conditions. In particular, sorry, just pulling up my notes. So just to be clear, the consent fee was paid, so no problem there. Taxes, no problem there. We just purchased it last year. The digital file that has to go, I don't have the, sorry, is the digital file, is that the same digital file that we've already completed, or is there an additional survey required from Ontario Land Surveyor?
City staff, can you help? We're jumping in a little bit, but this
Sure
makes sense just to
can.
do this.
Yes. So you're required to have a reference plan done by Ontario Land Surveyor, and they can put that in a digital format for staff.
So I'm just trying to understand, I submitted a survey already, so would this be an additional survey?
Yes, so in order to have the land severance approved at the registry office, they require a reference plan. So the surveyor can turn your survey sketch into a reference plan, deposit at the registry office, and that same plan provided in a digital format to staff.
Okay, thank you. And then I just wanted to understand, so there were 7 recommendations, and I don't know if they're fully in the right order, or I just want to understand timeline. So demolish garage, I don't know if that's step 1. There's transfer documentation, registering for a severance deed, and registering for consolidation of parcels. Is there a specific order or a timeline to any of those?
So the conditions have to be satisfied in order to obtain the certificate of the official from the Secretary Treasurer. You have a 2-year time frame to satisfy these conditions. And in terms of the demolition, that was put as a condition that would have to happen prior to getting that certificate of official from the Secretary Treasurer. So the demolition permit and demolition of the garage would have to occur in order to get the Secretary official certificate.
Okay. Thank you, that's all for me.
Thank you so much. Are there any parties that are in opposition of this application want to make any oral submissions? Seeing none. Committee members, do you have any questions for the agent or applicant? No, I guess don't need to know always why, but I was curious, why are you trying to do this?
I just made sense. 44 Betzer is where I live. Creates a bigger lot, residential. Quick shout out to whoever created the document. I didn't know the word anomalous, so I guess the rest of the neighborhood is like that. So it just matches the rest of the neighborhood. It'll match my neighbors. We get a bigger lot, and there's plenty of parking for the duplex. So it just kind of made sense.
Thank you for that. It's just all these older neighborhoods always have interesting different lots and how they all kind of got formed together, and I was looking at it and just trying to make sense of it, so I appreciate that explanation. Thank you. Do members have any questions of city staff? Seeing no. One.
Sorry, just one technical point on, I guess, the 5th condition. Just confirming that the city will be amenable to like a solicitor undertaking that's conditional on delivery of the consent certificate, just kind of putting the cart before the horse, just making sure, yeah.
Yes, so we have inserted our standard condition for lot additions that there is that undertaking so that the lot cannot stand on its own as a separate lot.
Okay.
And we're okay with that.
Okay.
So just to make sure I'm clear, when you sever a lot, it's essentially existing as severed, and then we'll apply for it to be consolidated with my lot. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any more questions from my fellow committee members to the applicant or staff? If I'm seeing none, I'm looking for a motion right now. Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick comment that this severance and adjoining piece of properties to convey this piece of property, it makes all of the properties in that area compatible with their neighbors. It just makes sense to me. So I will move that this be approved as per the staff report and the 7 conditions that are in there.
Thank you. So moved by Member McCall, seconded by Member Marco Gambetti. I'll keep calling him Marco instead of Gambetti. I hope you're okay with that. So it's we have someone moved in a seconder. I'll open the floor to debate. Seeing no debate, I will call for the vote, which is to approve as recommended by staff. So all those in favor? Pass unanimously.
Thank you kindly.
Good luck. So that's carried. So now one of my favorite things on the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn, if anyone can make that motion. Member Mello, seconded. Member Gambetti. So yeah, call for the vote. All those in favor to adjourn? That's it for the meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.